Hey gang, here is the final part 5 of our video series on how we built our backyard hockey shooting pad. The last video described the process to build the frame and subfloor for the pad. In this video, I'll provide a walkthrough of the process used to select the training gear, the products that were used, the installation, and lessons learned along the way. Let's get to it. Okay, so before talking about what kind of gear we got, first let's talk about our requirements. So here's a list of our requirements when we were looking for off-ice hockey training gear. And as mentioned in part 2 of the video series, it's important to note that the world of off-ice hockey training equipment has exploded with many manufacturers and products entering the market. It's endless really. So by the time this video comes out, I'm sure there's probably going to be more manufacturers out there. So we only covered 3 based on the research that we did, but do your own research. I'm sure that you're going to find, you may find other manufacturers as well. Other thing to mention is the prices of this equipment is expensive, and I suspect that the COVID-19 situation is only going to add upward pressure to these prices as demand increases with self-isolation rules. So for us, the goal, to maximize the training potential, what we were looking for is the following here: shooting tiles, a passer, a dangler for stick handling, an equipment rack, and also some training pucks. I already had a hockey net, which I was going to repurpose on the platform, so I didn't need that. So that's why you don't see a hockey net on this here, but you may need one. For the tiles, so let's start talking about that. There's 2 basic kinds. Those that you can, and then those that you cannot skate on. The ones that you can skate on are also called synthetic ice. So from my experience, these are much more expensive, and for me, for our situation, we didn't have the budget to justify these tiles. Also, we're looking for equipment that would weather well since we live in Canada, and the equipment would be outdoors all year long. We're also looking for equipment that was proven in this context, i.e. outdoors. So we did a lot of research on not only the manufacturer's websites, but also on social media in general for independent product reviews. And finally, we were looking at finding a good balance of value and cost effectiveness. But like I said earlier here, let's face it, this gear is expensive, so cost effectiveness is a relative term. The stuff is it's expensive. It's crazy in some cases. Before moving on, a reminder that although I wish I was to help offset the cost of the project, although I wish I was sponsored, I am not sponsored by any of these manufacturers, and any information that you see on cost and selection is really my own opinion. Please do your own research and find the products that you think are best for you and your situation. Okay, so here's a view of the spreadsheet I put together to compare the cost of the equipment that I was looking for. These were produced in April of 2020 and are listed here in Canadian dollars, so they will change as time goes on, and also for the currency of your home country. In our case, we were looking at 3 manufacturers: Hockey Shot, X Hockey, and Better Hockey. All have online presence and are pretty popular brands in the market. There's many more companies selling these products, but these operated in Canada and appear to be reputable quality brands. Grayed out cells that you see here indicate that at the time of the research, the company did not offer a certain piece of equipment. I added the skating tiles in, or the synthetic ice tiles, just to show the cost difference between the non-skating and the skating tiles, and as you'll see, it is significant. And again, add these up and the cost is significant, so make sure to plan your budget carefully. Okay, before getting into the details of the selected manufacturer, I really think that you can't go wrong with any of these 3 companies that we looked at. They all have relatively positive reviews and appear to offer great products. But in the end, we needed to select a vendor, and we chose Better Hockey for the following reasons, and they're in no particular order here. So first, they had a good range of products. With the exception of training pucks, they had everything we were looking for, which was appealing. To have to deal with one company for the bulk of the equipment, we also noticed that there were many reviews showing the equipment being used outdoors successfully. And I also noticed that there didn't appear to be replacement tiles in these videos as compared with other manufacturers' independent reviews, which to me clearly showed that some tiles were being replaced. Better Hockey also had really good reviews on their customer service, which was important to me. And lastly, they offered free shipping. Take that with a grain of salt though, as it's easy for a manufacturer to hide shipping costs by increasing the price of the equipment, but I'll take it nonetheless. Better Hockey wasn't the cheapest, but they weren't the most expensive either, which gave them some points for being competitive on price. So we ordered the equipment from betterhockey.com and the equipment was delivered quickly. I'd say about 1 to 2 weeks tops in 2 shipments. Again, probably due to COVID and the pressure on the shipping network. I find that shipping companies are shipping partial orders just to be able to optimize their shipping shipments. When I got the first shipment, I sent a quick question to customer service about the remaining order, and I quickly got a response back with the details of the shipment, and they informed me that I was to receive the second half of the shipment shortly. It arrived as planned, and to me, this was a great example of their customer service in action. Okay, as far as the installation goes, this was by far the easiest and most enjoyable part of the project. The tiles are super simple to install. They don't require any tools, and my son was able to help me put them in, which was great. They simply snap together, and the seams between the tiles are pretty tight. The accessories came pretty much pre-installed with the exception of the passer, which needed to have the band installed, which was, again, very simple to do. It only took us about an hour, I'd say, to put everything together, and it was done. So let's talk about tools. Except for the equipment rack, which required drilling 4 screws to fasten it to my garden shed, no other tools were needed to install any of the other Better Hockey training equipment, which made it, again, very simple to install. Alright, so let's review the gear, but before I do, at the time this video was made, we had only had the gear for about 1 month, so this is very early days to provide an opinion, so keep that in mind. This is not a long-term review. I'll need to add another video in a year to talk about durability and how the equipment performs in the winter. But with that said, so far the gear is performing as expected, and we've been very happy with all of it so far. But let's break down each piece here. So the major piece is the shooting tiles. The most important thing to me was how fast a puck would travel on them, and I estimate that standard rubber pucks move about 10 to 15% slower than real ice, which for our needs is perfectly fine. Nothing is going to simulate real ice except for real ice, so drag is to be expected. It's really not a problem, and if anything, it adds a nice bit of resistance to train muscles involved in stick handling. We purchased 2 green biscuits for stick handling training, and I especially like the speed of the green biscuit on the tiles. It's pretty much identical to ice, if not faster. The tiles have been rained on, and since they're located under trees, have been covered with leaves and other debris. I have purchased a squeegee from Home Depot to help clear the water off, but water has never pooled on the tiles. The pad is pitched towards the fence to assist drainage, and a bright sunny day dries the water off pretty quickly. Also, the kids use a broom to clean the pad, but I prefer to use my leaf blower, which does a great job and cleans the pad just in a few seconds. Let's talk about the passer. So the passer works as advertised. I like the fact that we can be multiple people using the passer at once, with the speed of the return is consistent, and it matches the speed of the pass itself. One note on the passer, which I also like, it forces flat passes, which as a coach, I'm always reminding players to do so. So it's good that the passer doesn't compensate for poor passing technique. You really have to put flat passes on it for it to respond. Now let's talk about the Dangler. It's also great, and it's made of strong plastic held by metal screws, which look like they're stainless steel, and so far there's no rust. It's very easy to use, and expands and collapses nicely to the design pattern. It's a great training tool. The equipment rack is also a great accessory to the pad. Better Hockey appeared to be the only company selling this type of product. It really helps to keep the sticks and pucks organized and out of the way. But a few things to note. The hockey sticks need to have a large butt end in order to keep the sticks in place. And the image of the product appears to show hooks for gloves. In reality, the gloves are simply stored on top of the hockey stick handles on each side of the rack. Since our pad is outside, we tend not to leave our hockey gloves out there, so this is not an issue. And if you wanted to store gloves in this way, it works, but don't expect specific hooks for the gloves. But all in all, we really enjoy the equipment, and I have no regrets in the purchase whatsoever. All right, let's talk about lessons learned about the Better Hockey equipment here. So one important note about the Better Hockey Passer: it's built to be used both for off and for on ice use. The triangle has 3 retractable ice spikes to keep it planted when using it on ice. And I had left these spikes in the retracted position thinking that they would stay static. Instead, as the days went on, a few of them started unscrewing and came into contact with the tiles without us knowing about it. So we continued to use the passer, which moves slightly when you pass onto it, especially when using heavy rubber pucks. And the movement caused the spikes to put a pretty good scratch on the tiles that it came into contact with. I have to say, I was disappointed that the product didn't have a warning or guidance to remove the spikes if you're using it off ice on your shooting tiles, or a better mechanism to keep them locked in place. So beware of these spikes. Just remove them if you're not intending on using the passer on ice. take a couple takes, so it's fine. So I want you to move in a little bit, like this, and then I can lean in like this. Say, all right, are we ready? Ready? All right, here we go. Hey guys, so Simon here with my two boys, Alec and Jeremy. This is our first YouTube video, and what we wanted to do is show you how we built our backyard hockey shooting pad back there. So keep watching for a quick time lapse of the entire end-to-end build. And then what we've also done is we've recorded different parts of the video. That doesn't make any sense. Let's start over. No, what? Stay here. No. It's rolling. Here. Okay.
What does it make sense?
Next. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hey guys. I'm gonna laugh. I gotta stop laughing. Okay, ready? Ready? Look, you have to look at the camera. Be serious. 1, 2, 3. Hey guys, Coach Simon here with my two boys, Jeremy and Alec. And what we wanted to do is, in this, our first YouTube video, is show you how we built our backyard hockey shooting pad back there. So keep watching for a quick time lapse of the entire build. And if you're interested in the details of how we built it, the materials that we used, etc., and also a review of the training aids that we're using from betterhockey.com, then keep watching all the I had it there. That was
You
good.
said all the.
Okay, let's try again.
All the what?
I'm gonna get it this time. Hey guys, Coach Simon. All right, gang. So that's a wrap. Since this is the final video in the series, this was a challenging yet equally rewarding project that for us is sure to provide the family with a great training space for many years to come. Again, I hope the information in this video series has been helpful should you decide to build your own backyard hockey shooting pad. If you do, I'd be very interested in seeing the results, so please send them my way. Take care, and once again, I wish you all the best in your own project.